Hi, I'm Paul, the outdoor movie guy, and on this week's episode of the Outdoor Movie Show, we are going to look at outdoor graduation ceremony ideas. After a year of closures, masks, and stay at home orders, lots of schools, colleges, and universities are looking for creative outdoor graduation ceremony ideas to help honor their students and families. Even though traditional graduation ceremonies may have to change, we have seen some amazing pivots from educational institutions with some wonderful, unique graduation ideas. Basically, taking stuff outdoors will allow many traditional graduations to continue with a slight twist. So many of those events we've seen are using either the LED screens and the inflatable screen. So we're quickly going to go into the differences between the two and why you should choose one over the other. So right here we have an LED trailer. The great thing about the LED trailer is it can be seen really, really well in the day, or you can use it at night. Um, the price point, the cost to rent it is a little bit higher, but it is a one-off graduation, so that often that can be taken into account for something like that. If you want to go, so this is a trailer, it can be towed into a location. So if you're in a field, a parking lot, this is the perfect situation. If it is a location where you cannot tow something in, the other LED option is actually doing an LED wall with individual panels that are then built and put together. A little disadvantage on that is it does take a long time to set up. An LED trailer like this, I'm just going to remove myself from this image super quick. So an LED trailer, something like this, can be set up in about 30 minutes and it's ready to go. If you end up doing an LED wall when you have to build the truss and all of that stuff, that can be a 3-4 hour process. And if you're a really very large wall, you may even need a day to get that set up. So the towable trailers are a great quick way. Often if you have a turnaround, maybe that same field you're using is being used for sports the following day, this is definitely the way to go with the towables. Um, Again, these are great for daytime, can definitely be used at night. You're not going to get quite the screen size that you would with an inflatable, but for daytime graduations, these are really the only option that you have. So here we have one of our inflatable screens. As you can see, it's a much larger than your LED. But if you look very closely, the screen does have an image. This is probably about half an hour before sunset. So if you go ahead and you want to use an inflatable screen, you do definitely have to wait for it to get dark. I'm going to flip to another image that we have of this same event. So this was a normal graduation ceremony. They had a stage off to the right. Everything was videoed, and then we used an FM transmitter to transmit it to the people in the car. So they got to watch the whole ceremony up on the big screen. And again, this is a 40 by 22-foot air screen. The screen starts in the air, so it's really easy to see. And it was a really good option for this school because they had a high number of people, and the restrictions at the time were pretty heavy on what you were allowed to do. Car-based events were allowed. So this was basically, it was a drive-in full-on graduation. And so if you want to do it in the day, LED is your only option. If you want to do it at night, you can still use the LED, or you can go to the inflatable, which will give you a much larger screen for more of a full-on drive-in graduation experience with more cars there. So just once more, if your ceremony is during the day and you are outside, you definitely need an LED, either an LED trailer, super quick setup, can be as short as half an hour to get that up, or an LED wall. Again, that can take 3 hours plus to set up, depending on the size of the wall. If you're at night, you can definitely use LED or projection technology with the inflatable screens. Inflatable screens can come in many different sizes. We actually carry them all the way up to a 52-foot air screen. So that's enough for about 350 cars. We even have double-sided screens so you can see either side. So your larger drive-in event, that would be perfect for. But again, that inflatable screen, you're only going to be using that at night. One final thing on the LED screens. If it is one of the trailers, LED trailers typically do come with the power already available. If you're going to be doing the inflatable screens or the LED walls, power will have to be provided. Often your movie provider, your screen provider can provide that for you. But just be aware that if you're renting a trailer, basically all LED trailers already come with a power source, so that can actually make the planning just that little bit easier if that's the route you decide to take. So a question I get a lot of the time is people talk about live feed and live stream, two slightly separate things that often get confused with each other. When we say a live stream, we're normally talking about streaming to the internet. When you're talking about a live feed, that could be taking a live feed from say a camera setup of a stage and then immediately putting that on the screen. So there's two definitely separate things there. It is possible some events you can do your live feed to the screen and also do a live stream to Facebook or YouTube or wherever you are broadcasting that for people who cannot be at the ceremony. We've seen that a lot this past year is due to limitations, even with a drive-in style event, you still have limitations on the number of vehicles you're allowed there. So to allow all family members to attend, some people will be live streaming the event. So I hope that makes sense. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you need further clarification. Cheers. One of my most popular events this last year has been the outdoor graduation drive-in, the ceremony drive-in. It's basically you're doing your normal graduation, but you're doing it outdoors on a big screen. So it's been highly popular. It's slightly non-traditional, but it's still a ceremony. You can still have people walk across the stage. We've affectionately started to know this type of event as a ceremony cinema. It's just a little bit different. So in your normal ceremony, you'll have lots of people with speeches and things like that. The great thing about ceremony cinema is you can bring in other multimedia aspects to your show. Maybe there was a sports highlight. You can actually show it up on the screen. There was a theater production. You could put a little clip of that. There's so many other options you can do when you have that big screen there. So not only can it at least give something to these students who are graduating, it can actually enhance the experience and it'll become something that they will never forget. What we've all been through in the past year, it's a life defining moment, but bringing something completely different to the table with the ceremony cinema is so much fun. So you can get up the pre-recorded messages, you can have some musical performances. If people can't attend because of various things, you could even have them give speeches remotely. Just so many different options. And then, of course, you are doing all of this on the screen. It will be going through some type of a video switch or computer at the same time. You've also got the option to live stream that if that's something that your school or college wants to do. So it gives you just that little bit more of an option. So with the ceremony cinema, a normal graduation, you'll often have the speakers and they'll be blasting out. With a ceremony cinema drive and everybody's in their cars. So then by using an FM transmitter, the sound is actually put directly into the car. So if you have any local noise ordinances because of the FM, you're not going to have those issues, which is always a great thing. So you can run maybe a little bit later than you normally would with that. Some people are adding a little bit of entertainment before, again, with the highlight reels and things like that. If it is in the day, however, you can't do the big inflatable screens. You're definitely going to have to go the LED option. Again, the LED option is great, can work day or night. It really doesn't matter. And that is the basics for the drive-in graduation, the ceremony cinema. An alternative to the drive-in is the drive-through, the Diploma drive-through for graduation day ceremony. Now, this is a lot of fun. It's really good for high schools, maybe not quite appropriate for colleges, but great for high schools. So the idea of this is that each student and their family will drive through to pick up their diplomas. Once they get their diploma, they'll drive past, say, like a DJ, something like that. They'll give them a big shout out on the mic. On the screen, there'll be images of the students while they're at the school, whether, whatever clubs they're in, showing what they did. The staff is there, right there. All, of course, the students are in the car, so it's all socially distanced. The staff's there cheering them on. It's just a wonderful option for those high schoolers. Really a lot of fun. And you can do this just in your parking lot at your school, and you can adhere to all of the various rules that may be out at the time. So we're going to have a little look at a case study of various events we've done this past year. I've actually chosen 3 different events. So I'm going to bring up a couple of images and we can talk about exactly what we did at that event and what made it so successful. So let me bring in this first image and let me see if I can get myself to be on that image. Hey, there I am. So this was at a school in Turlock, and we did back-to-back nights. I believe one was for the middle school and one was for the high school. They actually did a live graduation event. So they had a couple of cameras up. We actually have some integrated video with some musicians playing from the school and various things like that. And they had the classic speeches as you would normally have at a graduation. You'll see we actually have some lights there as well. That was so on the screen on the left, you can actually see what's going on because of that. So each student was called up individually, walked across, picked up their diploma from a table, gave the old elbow, and moved on. So that was a wonderful event. Let me bring up one other image from that event. Bear with me. Yeah, so that was just waiting when all the cars were driving in. With this event, this was an FM transmitter event. In the previous picture, you did see one speaker that was actually just for the students so they could hear what was happening. Everybody in the cars were just using their car stereos to tune in to get the music for that. So let me bring up another event. Bear with me right now. There we go. Excellent. So this was a much smaller graduation. The screen that we looked at before, that was a big 40-foot air screen. This one is a lot smaller. This is just like a 20 by 12. It was a small, intimate graduation for Leadership San Leandro. And they had, oh my gosh, I think it was 15, 16 graduates. So a smaller screen was appropriate. Used a small parking lot. If you're looking at the image right there, you'll see we have balloons just to add to the screen. Again, they had videos produced on it, so it gave it a little bit more interest. And then right by the trees there, you'll see we had the uplights. So we actually did this as a bit of a hybrid event. It was a live in-person graduation. Each family got to have one car, so they had to be people within the same family in that car. However, we also live streamed the event. So we had the speeches and all of that type of stuff. So not only we were having it on the screen, we were live streaming it to the Facebook group. So various family members and other people who wanted to attend but couldn't due to the restrictions were able to do that. So that was another great example of one of those style events. And one final event right here is one out in Sacramento. They actually did theirs in the day. They had a drive up graduation. So you drove up, each of the students received their diploma, and then they continued to drive through. So you'd actually see them up on the screen like that. They had, after you picked up your diploma, you actually got the choice. You could Oh, I didn't even move the photo over. Sorry about that. There we go. After you picked up your diploma, you got the choice. You could move over to the left and get a photo, or if you, this was early on, people were still very nervous. So if you didn't want to get the photo, you could just leave without the photo. The great thing about these is people get to show a little bit of personal flair by decorating their cars. So this person really liked the balloons, apparently. So that was a lot of fun. So that was it was a daytime event. I think we were there for 2.5 hours while this went through. The people who were doing the graduation, of course, that they had a mic and they were, you know, beckoning people up, congratulating them on that. And then afterwards, they got to drive through and go ahead and do the photo and that. So it was a very simple graduation, but it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of joy there. People were just glad to be out and to be able to celebrate their students. So that is also another option. You've got your full on drive-in graduation when you're watching everything on the big screen. You've got your drive-through graduations, the celebrations, the DJs, and then you've got your smaller event graduations as well. I feel this year, and let me click back to me. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, I do feel like this year we are going to see a move back to a more traditional base graduation, which is going to include some of the aspects of the drive-in or the drive-through. So we may be doing the big screen. You can't do the graduation inside, but you can still do a big screen with people sitting down socially distanced. So definitely check with your local rules, the local mandates at the time to see what is actually allowed, and maybe look at doing a hybrid where instead of you doing a drive-in, you're using a big screen outside. So it's more of a picnic style event, but you're still using the big screen to enjoy the graduation. So I hope these ideas were helpful to you. And I'm going to quickly summarize a couple of other things and then we'll be done. So as you can see, we can make this year's graduation a very, very cool thing. Quick thanks to Funflix Outdoor Movies who made this video possible. I'm going to play a quick little video about Ceremony Cinema from them for you. Excellent. So any questions, definitely put them in the comments below. If you have anything you think I've missed, let me know and we'll definitely throw another video together. Thanks a lot. And I'll see you next time on the Outdoor Movie Show.